Welcome to Serious Nonsense. I'm AC Valdez. Well, you've probably, at some point, if you pay attention to science and environmental stuff, heard the term microplastics. And in this show, we're all in favor of doing what's only natural for our bodies. So today, Defector.com's Sabrina Imbler is here to tell us about why it matters. Let's start off with a basic definition. What are microplastics?
So a microplastic is just any piece of plastic that is, I think, around like 5 millimeters or less in length. So whenever we throw away or even recycle plastic, because recycling plastic is kind of a lie, the plastic will degrade over time, and the little flecks that come off it, those are microplastics. And then there's also a separate subcategory called nanoplastics. That's basically any plastic that's 1 millimeter or less. And those are even scarier because you can kind of see a microplastic, but you can't necessarily see a nanoplastic.
So what was the last piece of plastic you put in your mouth, and how much did it worry you?
Yeah, so at the last Defector retreat, we went to the Rainforest Cafe in Atlantic City, a wonderful place. And because the company was paying, I ordered a slushie in a novelty cup shaped like a bird. And I brought it home and I was drinking out of it. And I sort of realized I make such an effort to not drink out of plastic water bottles, obviously for waste purposes. But whenever you're drinking out of a plastic bottle, little pieces of plastic are sort of invariably going to fleck off that container and you will ingest them. And I was looking at this Rainforest Cafe mug that is so charming, but also I'm sure just not even made of Nalgene plastic, made of very cheap plastic. And I realized that maybe it should be more of an art piece and less of a drinking container. So I guess I was a little bit worried.
So just how much have microplastics become a part of us?
Yeah, well, I feel I primarily cover the non-human, but as a science journalist, I just will read a lot of headlines about microplastics. And over the last decade even, I feel every month or so, there's, microplastics have been found in this new part of your body. They're in your ear, they're in your lung, they're in our blood, they're in our brains, they're in our livers, our heart, our kidneys, I think also placentas. I've known that for some time, but I think I never thought about what is the weight of microplastics in our body? And this paper came out and went really viral, where all of these headlines were saying, you have a spoon's worth of microplastics in your brain. And that was a very visually gripping image for me, because I was we've all used the white plastic spoons, right? That you get,
yeah, you get takeout. Yeah.
You can imagine, right? There's a spoon and then you're putting it inside your brain, and it's alarming. That's so much plastic. Of course, the researchers didn't find an actual spoon in the brains that they were autopsying, but rather around 7 grams of microplastics in the brains of people who have died more recently.
Yikes.
And that is about the same weight as a plastic spoon.
So what do you see as the advantages of a brain spoon?
Many. I mean, they could have used a lot of, I also am why didn't they say spork? Then the possibilities are even grander.
Oh, I like that.
But as soon as I read this paper and the stories around it, I was thinking back to all of these days that I spent as an intern in New York City when I didn't make a lot of money, and I, would really rely on eating individual yogurts from bodegas as my lunch. I would often just buy the yogurt and then go back to my desk and then realize I didn't get a spoon.
Right.
And now I have this yogurt that I need to eat in a professional setting, but also at my desk because I'm working. And so I would always fold up the tin foil lid into kind of a spoon and fashion it as a spoon, which, I mean, it worked, but also I would cut my lips it's foil. It's not, as it doesn't have the ergonomic mouthfeel of a spoon. I had coworkers who had their shit together. They would be oh, here are my chopsticks that I bring to work. Here's my silverware that I bring and I wash individually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember just longing. I was I should just bring a spoon to work. But I was subletting a place. Those spoons weren't mine to take. And so there was just a time in my life when I really needed a spoon. And I was like, wow, my brain spoon, if I could just pull that out from like, a hole in my brain, eat some yogurt with it, my problems would be solved.
It feels like Go-Gurt was invented to like solve this exact problem, but at the same time, it's marketed for like 5-year-olds, and then you run into the microplastic thing again, right? Like you're just sucking yogurt out of a plastic tube.
No, that's a really good point because if they made like, because the yogurt I buy is the Faya, like the Greek yogurt.
Oh yeah, the fancy thick Greek yogurt. Yeah.
Yeah, if they made a Go-Gurt version, I would be all up in that. I'd be squeezing my dense yogurt out of
It feels like such a solvable problem. So other things that you have said you'd eat with your brain spoon include rice kheer from your local Indian restaurant before it changed management. Okay, so what's kheer and what's wrong with management now?
So yeah, it's really disappointing. So kheer, first of all, I'm not, I guess I was like looking it up on the menu and that's what they call
Yeah.
it. It's like a sweet rice pudding. It's really good. It's white. I really love Indian food, but hadn't like lived near a great takeout space for a while. And this place, their portions were just enormous. Like they were so big.
Oh,
And
okay.
you could just get like meals for like 4 days for like $60 or
Uh,
something. It was just amazing. And they always would give you a free dessert. Like even if you ordered just like
oh,
a small
nice.
amount. Yeah, they would always give you the kheer. Recently, we ordered from them, and the portions were smaller. Like they were in different
Oh,
takeout containers. The flavors were off, and we didn't get the dessert. And then I like went on their Google reviews, and someone had said like, I used to love this place, but they're under new management. It was a day of mourning in our household.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
So you've also written that you might eat your brain, which poses a fundamental problem to me simply because if you eat the brain with the spoon in it, then where are you going to put the spoon back in?
That's an interesting question. I mean,
It's
that's not
kind
the
of like
question
a
I thought you would ask me about eating my brain. If we're imagining, right, this like the squishy mass of my brain has a little sort of like burrow that you put the spoon in at night, like a little snake going to sleep.
sure.
And then if you were to eat the brain, then the spoon would just sort of be rattling around there, making retrieval more difficult
Yeah.
because then you have to reach in and it's not like, poking out of your brain hole. I mean, I think I wouldn't, just eat like the top of my brain off. I think I would eat selectively. I would take like little scoops around to sort of make like a Swiss cheese effect.
So like doing some hard drugs over a long period of time.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Okay.
guess like the logic I was going with here is like we've all heard of Phineas Gage, right? That guy who had the steel like pole go through his head.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And yeah, like in the old times, and in an old timey sense, when I guess there were no worker protections on railroads. Like he had the steel spike go through his head, and then he was like fine, and he could just like talk. And so I was using that logic to be like, I could lose a substantial amount of my brain and still be fine. So then I guess I would just eat around it so that as long as the brain spoon remained, easily accessible, those would be the parts to go.
Okay. Um, Gazpacho is maybe the most disgusting thing you've written about eating with your brain spoon. To me, why cold soup? Come on.
What's your relationship to gazpacho?
I didn't expect to be flipped on my head with that one. I just really don't like tomatoes, and the idea of
Mm,
cold soup is really unappealing. I think that's the thing. Like, nope, can't handle it.
fair, yeah. I've only had gazpacho a couple of times, and I really enjoyed eating it. And I should also say that when I was reading the comments on this blog, because when I list everything I would eat with the spoon in my brain, I guess I used numbers, but many people were interpreting it as like a ranked list of like yogurt is like my favorite thing that I would eat, and then
Oh,
going down is like things that I would more resentfully eat, which I do understand. And maybe that was like an error on my part of using the numbers when I was really just kind of like like just kind of free associating.
I did find it really funny that gazpacho ranked after
Hmm.
your own brain as like the thing you
Yeah.
would eat. Yeah.
I was thinking like gazpacho, like what a great word, like what a good kicker. I can't just end on my brain. I need something else. And it felt like underwhelming to be like papaya, banana. But I have enjoyed gazpacho the time that I have had it.
Okay.
Justice for gazpacho.
You know what? I will wait until it gets warmer, and then I will try one brain spoonful of gazpacho for you.
Thank you.
Sabrina Imbler is a writer, co-owner, and charismatic megafauna at Defector.com, to whom I owe huge thanks for helping to develop the show. They're also the author of How Far the Light Reaches, A Life in 10 Sea Creatures. Thank you so much, Defector. We've got a game coming up next episode about what not to eat with your brain spoon. Stick around. This is AC Valdez, and you've been listening to Serious Nonsense. Catch you next time.